All right, guys, here we are with the Yolocam S3 Webcam. Yes, believe it or not, this is a webcam, not a DSLR, not a mirrorless camera, a webcam. Capable of supporting up to 4K 30 frames per second with its 1/1.3-inch sensor. It is jam-packed with a bunch of features, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, right off the start, this camera is only priced at $199 USD, and I feel, in my opinion, this camera is definitely worth it. It is actually built like a tank. It's small and compact, but it's nice and heavy duty. It feels nice and durable. It has built-in magnets, so we can basically simply mount it to the connected mount that we have, that I'm using right now, just connected onto my laptop. We have it positioned in the horizontal orientation, or we can literally just go ahead and physically turn the camera into the vertical orientation as well for any of those social media content. It's going to be very helpful for live streaming, podcasting, content creation, and so on. I'm telling you guys, I'm actually really impressed with this camera. Would I recommend it? 100%. So in this video, I'm going to get you guys more familiar with all the settings and controls and the capabilities of this camera, but more so also share with you guys why I feel that this camera is worth it and why I'm really impressed with it. So let's go ahead and get started. Right now I have the YoloLive Compose software, which is a free software that you can easily go ahead and download and install from the YoloLive website. And I have it open over here, and it's giving me full control over here onto the left hand side. We're going to have a closer look at, and onto the right hand side, yes, this is the preview that we're getting from this camera, all right here within the software. So let's go ahead and get familiar, starting off with the top left hand side. Currently right now you can see that I'm in the tab which is labeled as parameters, which is going to allow us to adjust all of these parameters. And which camera are we controlling from this drop down menu? The S3, and here we have the serial number. Just next to that, you'll also see that we have this little red icon which looks like a camera. This is basically the button that's going to allow us to turn on or turn off the preview that we're looking at right here. So it being highlighted in red, which means that the preview is enabled. So one thing that I will point out, you cannot have the preview over here in the YoloLive Compose software while you're using it, for an example, in OBS or vMix or Teams or Zoom meeting. So you can only have the preview in one software. So in this case, I have it previewing right over here in the YoloLive Compose software. And that's what we're looking at right now. But if I wanted to basically add this camera in OBS, I can control all of my settings here right now with the preview, or I can disable this preview and we can go to OBS and add this camera as an input. So let's go ahead and actually do that. What I'm going to do over here is turn off the preview, and now you'll see that we do not have that preview visible. And we're going to come over here to OBS, which I'm recording this all in. I'm going to move this software over to the right hand side so we can have a better view. And over here underneath sources, you can see I currently have a mic input for my audio. I have my display capture, which is recording my screen. And now I want to add the S3 as a video capture device. So let's go ahead and select that. We can give it a name, for an example, S3, select enter. Now I got the S3 added in over here in OBS, and the same concept would apply. Pretty straightforward if you ever used a webcam before. It's not no brain science, but yes, that is how it's done. Again, the main thing that I was trying to point out, for you to actually add it in OBS, you need to have this preview icon over here in the YoloLive Compose software turned off for you to be able to add it as a camera input. So underneath the parameter tab that we're currently in, the first thing that we have over here is graphics settings. So we can select on that, and this is where we can configure to film in the horizontal or the vertical mode. And again, vertical mode, pretty straightforward. Just go ahead and select on that. As you can see now, I just need to actually turn the camera. So this magnet is super strong. Let me just rotate this for you guys and position myself, make sure that I'm nice in frame, maybe adjust my angle a little bit. All right, so we're gonna come back over here to 16:9. will look a little bit crooked. Let's go ahead and readjust again. Magnet on both sides of this camera. Perfect, looking good. Again, I'm gonna set mine to 60 Hertz, which is 60 frames per second. So that's pretty much everything that we have here into the graphics settings. So I'm just gonna go ahead and close that, pretty straightforward. Image settings over here. The first option, we have image version. So right now I just have it set to default, but we do have this other option over here where it says V1 fair complexion light color. So we can adjust the sharpness if you want. I believe by default, these were all kind of set into the middle. So I just lowered the sharpness a little bit. Same thing goes over here for the contrast. It was set to 50. I just lowered it a little bit, very minor. Saturation, pretty straightforward. DR, what does it say over here? Only manual exposure supported. So we will not have control of this DR, which I believe DR is basically referring to dynamic range, something like that, I believe. But let's go ahead and move this slider around because I am using the manual exposure right now. So let's go just bring it full all the way up. You can see the image maybe looks a little bit darker. If I bring it down, the image looks a little bit brighter. So we'll just put it back over here to the middle. I think I'm pretty happy with, somewhere around the 50 mark. I'm happy with that. So this next option over here, this is actually a really cool feature, lens shading correction. So take a look at the image over here, specifically around the perimeter, the outside edges, because right now it is enabled. By default, it's not enabled. And take a look at what it does when I turn it off. You can see the image looks a little bit more darker, a little bit more contrast around the perimeter, because from my understanding, I believe these wider lenses on these webcams, they can kind of cause some vignetting a little bit. So this, I believe, is like kind of creating a little bit of a compensation for that to lighten up those areas for that vignetting. But to be honest with you, I kind of like the darker vignette type of look a little bit. I feel like it gives a little bit more contrast and whatnot. So there is it off. And here is it back on. Yes, back on. Definitely feels like it's nice, evenly lit. So I think I'm going to leave it on. I think that's a nice feature. So I think we're good with image settings. Let's come down over here to the next one, which is focus. Focus is a cool one. I want to spend a little bit of time on this. As you guys see, I'm using the face focus. We have a few different options. In the middle over here is autofocus single. So you'll notice this little box over here is a little bit smaller, but the cool thing about it, we can basically tap anywhere onto the screen, which is basically telling the camera where we want the camera to focus on. It's just going to focus on that one spot, and it's not going to change the focus area. So that's going to help with any hunting. Maybe you might have it on autofocus and it's continuously hunting, trying to find focus. It's not going to do that with the single option over here that I've selected. And just to go ahead and demonstrate, maybe I wanted to focus on something in the background. Let's go ahead and click over here somewhere in the background. And you can see it just shift focus to whatever's in the background because that's what I told the camera to do. And now back onto me, and boom, back onto me. Perfect. That's perfect. It's been working exactly how I want it to work. And I really do like the way it's working. All right, let's go to the next option, the autofocus continuous. So this one is going to continuously try to search for focus. This one's going to be very helpful for an example if you're going to be moving around and you're not going to be able to tap on the screen and tell it where you want it to focus. Maybe you're going a little bit further or closer or left and right a little bit. So it's always going to be searching to have the subject that's in the box in focus. So wherever you're going to be positioned, for an example, my face looks like it's somewhere around over here right now. That's where it's going to be focusing on. So here's a quick little example. I'm going to use this box over here and I'm going to put it closer to the camera and let's see how long this camera takes to focus, because it does say it does have a 0.3 second ultra fast autofocus. Let's test this out. All right, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that was pretty quick. And now when I remove the box, how long does it take to go focus back on me? Super quick. Let's try it again. Yep, back in focus. Move the box. Yep, back in focus on me. So yeah, it's working quite well. I am approximately about maybe 2 feet away from the camera right now. And the box, when I was holding it up, was maybe about 10 inches away, maybe just underneath a foot. So you can see the autofocus performance is pretty impressive and pretty sharp and responsive. So that's really nice. So I think what works best for me in this setup right now, I feel like the face focus is probably my best bet because this is what is going to be in frame. I am the main subject. I want it to always be focusing on me. So for now, we'll just leave it to face because it's working quite well and it meets my needs. So next we have zoom. So we have a few buttons over here. We got W for wide and we got T for tele to be zoomed in. So if we toggle the W or the T, it's literally going to go to the widest or to the most zoomed in, which is again a digital zoom. It's not an optical zoom as far as I know. It's digital zoom. So let's take a look at it zoomed in all the way. Let's click on the T and boom, there it is, zoomed in all the way. Pretty crazy considering the detail that we're still getting in the image, the autofocus, and just overall. Yes, it is very close to me, as you guys can see. So let's go ahead and zoom back out with one touch, zoomed out all the way. Very cool. So as you can see, the quality of the image zoomed out, top notch, zoomed in, also pretty impressive considering, again, it's a digital zoom. Let's come over here to hotkeys, and you can see that we can select this setting button. So let's click on that. And that's going to open up this other tab over here, which is the settings tab. And we have this tab here towards the bottom, which is called hotkeys. So we can go ahead and select that. And by default, it is not turned on. So if you want to take advantage of hotkeys, like I have been doing, you want to turn it on. And then you want to set your hotkeys for the zoom. So for an example, camera number 1, or we'll just call it zoom position number 1. I have it saved to my number 1 keypad on my keyboard. So anytime I press number 1, it's going to zoom out as wide as you guys see it right now. Camera number 2, so zoom position number 2, I have it set to about quarter way zoomed in. And then we have camera number 3, I have it zoomed in about 3/4 way. And camera number 4, I have it zoomed in all the way. So anytime I hit any one of these number pads on my keyboard, it's going to zoom in to whatever I set it here. So again, here's number 1, here's number 2, here's number 3, here's number 4. 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice and easy. A click of a button, it zooms in exactly where you have it saved. Really cool feature. So let's come back over here to the parameters page and zoom. I think you guys are more familiar with that. We'll close that. AI parameters. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. We're going to click on the start button over here. And it's saying, do you want to start AI parameter tuning? Yeah, I do want to demonstrate this for you guys. So let's go to continue. And over here, it's opening up this AI situation and it's saying, please try to keep the scene and people stationary after the host enters the frame so we can adjust the best results. So basically, it's trying to auto configure the exposure and white balance and stuff like that. And we get to pick a few different options. So basically over here, you can see that we have 3 images that it captured, and it's basically trying to give us 3 different options to see which exposure or which look do we like the best. As you see here at the top, please select your preferred streaming image brightness. Okay, so which brightness do I like? I think I like this one over here onto the right side because my skin doesn't look so bright. I'm going to go with the one on the right hand side, number 3. So let's select that. You can see I got the blue box around it, and let's go to confirm. All right, perfect. So now it's doing some more AI thinking over here. And I believe the next one is going to be more related to like a white balance, like the color of the image. So we first picked the brightness, and now I believe we're going to be picking next the color. So let's see. Okay, perfect. So here at the top, you'll see, please select your preferred streaming image style. So what style do I like? The one on the left looks good, but it's a little bit too blue, I think, for my liking. The one in the middle, again, probably too warm. And the one on the right is a little bit too warm for my liking. I like my whites to be like a nice crisp white. I think I'm going to go with number 1 on the far left. And now let's go ahead and select confirm. And there you go. It basically put those results, those selections that I made all over here into the image. So we have more further control. Now, as we continue, you'll see that we can adjust the exposure and the white balance, but this is a quick, nice little starting point, giving us some options. So let's come over here to the next one, which is exposure. So looking over here in the exposure settings, as you guys can see, I have manual selected right now, and we do have an option for auto exposure as well. We'll take a look at that shortly, but first off, looking at the manual. So what settings do we have over here in manual? We can adjust the ISO value and along with the shutter speed. So having these manual controls is really nice on a webcam, because whenever I'm filming with my mirrorless or DSLR cameras, I'm always using manual exposure settings. It just makes me feel like I have more control of my settings instead of having my camera do all of the work for me. I rather do it myself. It just gives me more control. So having these manual exposure settings feels right at home for me. And I really do think that's really nice, the fact that we have that option within a webcam. webcam in this software. So starting off, let's look at the shutter speed. As you can see right now, by default, it's set over 1/60, but again, if I come over here to the graphics settings, if you guys remember, I have my frame rate set to 60 hertz. So my common practice is to have my shutter speed double my frame rate. So technically that should be 120. So let's bring my shutter speed to 120 or as close as possible. And you'll notice over here, the closest that I can get to that shutter speed is 1/125. If I go one notch up, it goes over 1/160. Or if I go one notch down, it goes over 1/100. So the closest that I'm going to get, which is 1/125, I'm totally fine with that. Okay, so we got the shutter speed locked in. Now we need to adjust the ISO value. So right now we're at 320. Let's bring it down all the way to the lowest setting. As you guys can see, this is super dark. I don't want it to be this dark. So let's bring it up step by step and see where I want to stop to have the exposure set to my liking. So what I'm looking at when I'm talking about to my liking, I'm looking at basically my skin tones, the exposure on my face, because I am the one that's in subject or in frame. I am the subject that's in frame. So I'm not really too concerned about the background, even though I want my whole overall image to look well exposed. My main focus is myself because I am the subject in frame. So right now, 320. Let's go up another notch. We got 400. So I'm going to maybe just overdo it so you guys can see what I mean about adjusting the ISO. It's a little bit too bright for my liking. So the general rule of thumb, you want your ISO as low as possible without it being too dark. So that's why having lights is very important. So let's lower this down. We'll call it 500. Looks pretty good. 400, 500. I think somewhere around here is good. Let's go with the 500. I'd rather it be a little bit on the brighter side than being too dark. So we'll leave it at 500. So those are my manual exposure settings. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and briefly try the auto exposure to see what the camera decides to do. And bingo, here we are, auto exposure. And believe it or not really too surprised, but my auto exposure and my manual exposure are looking very similar. Like there's very minimal difference between the two when I'm switching back and forth. That is telling me that I exposed myself manually the same way the camera would. Perfect, not bad. Auto is definitely going to be very helpful. Again, maybe you're going to be showing different products and maybe the lighting is not consistent, or maybe you're using natural light and the light is changing or whatever. So having it set to auto, definitely it does have its advantages. So another cool feature about auto is that once you have it set to the way that you like it, you could actually lock it right over here as well by pressing this lock button. Most of the time I just been having it unlocked. I let the camera do its thing because it's been doing a good job. So next we have the anti-flicker. Again, I'm located in Toronto, Canada, so 60 hertz is what I normally use even with my cameras. Again, just to kind of prevent any flickering from any lights or electronics that you might be using. But we do also have 50 hertz and close it. And now we'll come over here to the EV settings. So again, when we have the auto exposure enabled, we still have further control to tell the camera, hey, I'm going to let you auto expose the image. I'm going to let you decide on how bright or dark it can be, but I prefer it to be a little bit brighter or a little bit darker than what you would normally do it, Mr. Camera. So in this case, as you can see, I have the EV set to 0, which is by default, but we can go ahead and bring this down all the way down to -8. Or we can go ahead and put it anywhere in between, back to 0 or all the way up to +8. I think we're pretty familiar over here with the exposure settings, auto, manual, the lock, the anti-flicker, and the EV. Now, one thing that we need to go to definitely, because it's kind of bothering me, to be honest with you, it's kind of bothering me for the last couple of minutes over here, is the white balance. The white balance is not exactly where I want it to be. Perfect, no problem, because we have full control over here onto the S3. So right now it's set to manual. Let's go to auto. I want to see what auto does. Much better, much better. Look at that. Now my skin tones don't look so blue. The wall and the ceiling and everything doesn't look so blue. It looks actually real to life. Great job, S3 auto white balance. Good job, really good job. And we can also lock that as well. So that is, I'm going to tell you, a really nice feature to lock the auto white balance, because once it's set, You don't want your white balance to be continuously adjusting, because to be honest with you, it just makes color grading in post-production a lot harder, in my opinion, when your auto or when your white balance is changing on you. You want to just set it and lock it in and forget it. So in this case, white balance is looking good. I'm happy with it set to auto. Let's go ahead and lock it. That's it. I'm done. White balance, set it and forget it. Okay, or if I wanted to, I can unlock it and we'll come back over here and have some further controls if we want to offset the blue or offset the red. All right, so let's come over here to manual, because again, remember I told you I like to use manual quite often. So this is that blue that I wasn't a fan of. So we have the white balance, the Kelvin right over here to adjust. Right now it's at 3,200. So let's just bring it down all the way. You can see how super blue that is at 2,000. Let's bring it up all the way up to 10,000. You can see how warm and orange that looks. That doesn't look good. Let's bring it somewhere into the middle. That looks okay, better than before, but not where I want it to be. My goal is to make the whites in my frame white, at least by eye in this case, because I don't have like a waveform or some kind of like chart to reference that. So there we go. I think I'm pretty good with that. The white on the ceiling looks nice and crisp white. I'm happy with that. And we do have this other option over here, which is in Chinese. And from my understanding, I did do a little bit of research, and I'm going to kind of call this like the tint or like the mood. So we can go ahead and slide this around so you guys can see what it does to the image. Right now it's at 64, which I believe is like in the middle by default. Let's just bring it up all the way. You can see it's affecting the tint, kind of giving it like a greeny blue color. Let's bring it down, giving it like a purple. Nope, none of those are cutting it for me. Let's come back over here to the middle ballpark, which I believe was like 65. I'm happy with that. And same thing goes over here for the blue offset and the red offset. Perfect. All right, cool. So I think we're done over here as far as all of our settings in the parameters. So let's come over here to the next tab, which is the color tab. All right. Perfect. The camera took a picture of me. And now we can enter into this color correction over here, color grading. So we have a few different options. We have the fast option and we have the professional option. I believe one of these two options, either the fast or the professional. I think it's maybe the professional. They call it, what do they call it again? They call it Picasso Resolve. Similar to like DaVinci Resolve, but they called it Picasso Resolve, which basically means that we have quite a bit of more color grading adjustments if we want to, for fine tuning some colors in our scene. So we have an option here to capture a new image if you want. I could have done that. But let's go ahead and select somewhere onto my face, for an example, because there's not really much colors behind me. For the most part, it's all white, but let's select some of my skin tones. So let's select this corner of my forehead right here with this little eyedropper tool, and bingo. So I just clicked on my mouse over here, and you can see now into this chart, it's basically recognizing that is roughly the color of my skin. So if I wanted to manipulate that color to make it a little bit different, I can click anywhere in this little section of the pie over here, and it's going to change that color. So let's make this a little bit more dramatic so you guys can see. I'm going to select on this red color, and you can see that all those skin tone colors that I selected with that eyedropper tool has now changed to this vibrant red. Or if I didn't like that, I can click on this yellowy color, or this like purpley pink color, or maybe the white color behind it. So I can really pick and change things around a bit. So let's make things a little bit more dramatic. We'll pick this red color over here just so you guys can easily see. Okay, so now what can we do? Well, we can adjust the brightness of that color that we just selected. So again, let's go ahead to make it full brightness. You can see what it just did to my skin tones. And now I can make it darker. You can see what it did. It doesn't really look too big of a difference. Again, back to the middle over here, putting it back at to 50. So if you don't like the setting that you just did for the brightness or something and you want to reset it, you can just go ahead and select that by resetting that. Okay, and over here, the color correction record. So basically, this is the changes that you've made. You took your pink skin tone colors and you changed it to this red color. So it's just kind of keeping track of the color corrections that you've done. All right, and if you're not happy with these changes, or if you want to see the before and after, let's go ahead and see the before and after by long pressing this button here. Just holding down onto the mouse, you can see the before, And then if you let go, there's the after, before and then after. And if you want to reset these changes, you can just go ahead and reset and confirm. So all those changes that you just made have just been reset. So that is pretty much what we have over here to the fast color settings. Let's come over here to the professional. Switching color correction mode will reset all adjusted data. Are you sure you want to switch? Yes, we want to switch. All right, perfect. So now we have a few different looking graph over here, this little like web, which is basically all the different color points that are within the image and how we can manipulate it. So right now we have preset grid, or we have original grid. Let's come to the preset. Okay, so basically we can select a same idea, either somewhere onto my face over here. Let's maybe select my cheek. We're gonna click on that. And now you can see we have this red point over here on this little spider web thing. And now we can kind of move this around. And I believe it's going to make those changes to the colors of the image. Let me just go ahead and move it over here somewhere and let go. So you have to actually let go once you've moved it over. So let's come to somewhere like green. We just let go of it and you can see my skin tone slightly changing. So let's just maybe put it back, I don't know, somewhere closer, somewhere randomly over here. So we made those changes. And now if we want to, we can further adjust this over here. We can adjust the hue, the saturation, and the brightness. So you know what? To be totally honest with you, I haven't been messing around too much with these color grading tools because I feel the image coming from the camera itself is actually really impressive as it is. But if you do need further controls, you can go ahead and control these and manipulate things exactly how you want to. So let's just go ahead and reset everything that we did. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure I want to reset. And we can also save this as a draft as well. Let's see what else we have over here. We have the scene. Okay, so we have basically a scene profile. So all the different scenes or profiles that you want to save, you can save them and they'll be listed right over here. So maybe if you're recording in your office and you have this type of lighting, you can save it for that scene. Maybe you're recording somewhere else in your house in your gaming setup, you can save it to that lighting setup, the scenes and all your configurations as far as your exposure, your white balance, your colors, all of your settings will be saved to this profile, to this live scene. So we have the standard one, as you see right over there, that's a standard one. And we have the manual exposure one that I had. This manual exposure one was, for an example, in another location in my house. So as you can see, it's not really working over here. So I can come back over here and adjust some things. So let's go and demonstrate how quickly we can adjust the camera image to look exactly how we want to. What I'm going to be doing is coming right to exposure. Let's click on auto. Okay, so there's my auto exposure, really looking good already. Let's come over here to white balance. Let's scroll down. Let's go to auto white balance. Looks good. I'm happy with that. Let's lock in that white balance. Perfect. I'm done. I'm ready to go live. I'm ready to record. I'm happy with this image. Let's go with focus. Let's just double check our focus. Right now it's autofocus continuous. Yep. Let's go to face. Perfect. So you know what? Let's say I wanted to save this because anytime I'm filming in this location, I want to quickly have the webcam set up. Let's go to save scene. We're going to name this one kitchen because that is where I'm in right now. I'm in the kitchen filming this video. Let's go ahead and press confirm and bingo, it saved it. So now when we come back over here to my scenes, boom, there's the kitchen. Perfect. Click of a button, go back to this one. Go back to the standard one and back to kitchen. Love it. Very cool. So hopefully now you guys are more familiar with the Yolocam S3. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I definitely 100 recommend this camera. It is nice and easy to connect to your PC. It's easy to mount, the vertical, the horizontal, all the different controls that we have that we just looked at. Easy to connect to different softwares. Overall, the number one important thing to me is the image quality, the build quality, the ease of use. This camera is pretty much checking off everything. The only thing that I may say that I would like to possibly see maybe a future model of this camera would be like a PTZ, so we can pan, tilt, and zoom this camera. So this camera does have the zoom and the digital zoom looks really nice, but being able to have the panning of the camera and the tilting of the camera, I think that would be a fantastic option. So YoloLiv, if you guys are watching this video, my recommendation for a future webcam or camera would be a PTZ camera. I think that will be really cool. Well, overall, that's a wrap for today's video. I 100% appreciate you guys tuning in. If you guys do have any questions or comments, let me know down into the comment section down below. I will leave any links for any of the products that I use in this video down into the description. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Till next time, peace.